Wasted money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. Time is running out. Time is running out. Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deeper seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. But time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. But time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Good evening, everybody. It's John here from Tutor to You. Welcome you along to another of our A-level biology revision live streams. A very warm welcome to you if you are joining us live. If you are joining us live, hopefully you know what's going on tonight. We've got a series of fast-paced activities. And if you've got your responses and your answers ready, we'd love to see them in the chat window, if possible, please. The PowerPoint we're using tonight will be available for you as well to download after this live stream finishes if you wish to do so. Now, I'm joined tonight by the real experts, of course, aren't I? I've got Ellena on the left-hand side of the screen and I've got Tracy in the middle. Good evening to you both.
Hello.
Good stuff. Okay, Ellen, do you want to give us a quick introduction to what's going on tonight?
Yes, so tonight we are hitting the nervous impulses. It's quite a tricky one. I think people find this one something that they need to go over a few times. So we're going to split it up into 5 easy chunks for you. We're going to kick off with the resting potential. Next up will be the action potential, and then we'll look at that refractory period. Finishing off on the harder bits, which are how the action potential moves, so the propagation of the action potential, and we'll do 2 scenarios, through the unmyelinated neurons and then lastly through the myelinated neurons. That is our plan.
Sounds like a good one. Look to get through as well. Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Okie doke. So we are going to start off with a nice multi-choice quiz. So you can answer on the chat if you know which letter is correct. So let's look at our first one. We've got, which of the following is true for an established resting potential? So the resting potential is established, it's there. Which of these are true? Now, if we read through them, they're very, very subtly different. So you've got to be quite careful with jumping in with which ones you're going to decide. So we've got 3 sodium ions pumped in, 2 potassium ions pumped out? Or is it the other way around, 3 sodium ions pumped out and 2 potassium ions pumped in? Or is it 2 sodium ions pumped out and 3 potassium pumped in, or 2 sodium ions pumped in and 3 potassium ions pumped out? So we've got some answers coming up here. This is great. So well done, praise, Ladapo. They're going for B. So should we see if you're right? And you were right. What a great way to start. Nice one. It's so tricky to get those wrong, isn't it? It's easy to get them wrong. We've got the 3 and the 2, and we've got the direction. So well done. Let's see what we've got next. We've got which of the following is correct for channel involvement during the resting potential. So you know channels are involved, but which channels are involved? So is it that there are more open voltage gated potassium ion channels than sodium ion channels? Is it that there are more sodium ion leakage channels than potassium ion channels? Is it there are more potassium ion leakage channels than sodium ion channels, the other way around? Or is it that there are more open voltage gated sodium ion channels than potassium ion channels? All of these channels, which ones are they? And I think we just need to see the answer for that last one. There we go. Yes, well done. So yes, there are more sodium ion leakage channels than potassium ion leakage channels than sodium ion leakage channels. So these are just open channels. That's why we call them leakage channels. You don't have to say leakage, but it's useful to stop saying voltage gated, which would be wrong. Right, let's do the next one as I waffle on too much. Okay, this is a nice straightforward one. Let's have this on the chat. Which is the correct membrane potential here? Just for a normal axon at rest, which number is correct? Let's see the answers on the chat. Okay, well done. Yes, we've got definitely good praise. Ladapo, you're in there again. Let's see if D is correct. And you're right. Oh, okay. Right, that's great. Well done. Yeah, so it's minus inside, so the charge is negative. And when you look at the potential difference across that membrane, it measures as a membrane potential minus 70. Right, let's see what our fourth question is. Which of these would give the correct electrochemical gradients established in the resting potential? So we've done all this. We've got pumping of ions, we've got leakage channels, and what's it all about? This is what it's all about, but which one is true? Are we trying to get higher concentrations of sodium ions outside the axon and potassium ions inside? Is it the other way around, that we want higher concentrations of potassium ions outside or sodium ions inside? Or is it higher concentrations of sodium ion outside, but calcium ion inside? Or is it the potassium ions being higher outside and the calcium ions inside? They're all so similar. That's why this is tough. What do you think it's going to be? Can we have another vote in there? You're going to be brave? Oh, I'm a bit nervous about this one. Okay, let's see what we've got. It's A. So with the 3 sodium ions being pumped out on our first answer and only 2 potassium ions being pumped in, that means more sodium ions end up being outside and more potassium ions end up being on the inside, which sets up those concentration gradients ready for the action potential, which we're moving closer towards. We've got one more for you. Okay, this last one then. Which of these describes the differential membrane potential during the resting potential? So differential, bit of a tricky word. So we're saying that I meant permeability. We're saying that the permeability of the membrane is different. So how is it different? Is it more permeable to one or less permeable to one or equal? So here are our options. First one, A, it's that they're equally permeable. But is it B, that the membrane is 20 times more permeable to sodium ions than potassium ions? Is it C, the other way round, more permeable to potassium ions than sodium ions? Or is it that the membrane is more permeable to sodium ions when the voltage gated channels are open? So go on, let's have another go. Let's see what you think. Have we got a vote coming in there? Which one of those is it? Oh, not sure. Okay, let's see then. Let's see what it is. It's C. It's those leakage channels. There are way more potassium ion leakage channels than sodium ion leakage channels. There's 20 times more permeability. I like to think of it that for every one sodium ion channel, there are 20 potassium ion channels. So many more potassium ions diffuse back out, and that leaves our inside negative, which is our minus 70 we saw in the previous question. So, done for me for a sec. Now over for Tracy.
Yep, hi guys. So we've got a 60-second challenge for you here. So you've got some terms on the right-hand side, numbered 1 to 6. So these are all sort of around the action potential, but you've also got to actually find what the description of an action potential is in there too. So have a little look at the letters on the left and the descriptions there, and can you link them up in 60 seconds with our terms on the right-hand side? Let's have a little go. Here we go. Okay, so we're off and running for our 60 seconds. Just pop it in the chat when you think you've got a link. You don't need to write it out, just put the letter with the number. So, and see if you can get them all. You've got to work quite quickly because you've got 6 to pair up here. When anything like this, just try and go to the ones that you're confident with first, and then hopefully by process of elimination, you'll get to the pair or a couple of pairs that you're maybe not so confident of. I mean, that's a principle that can work when you're answering multiple choice questions at exam time as well, can't it? So just about another 15 seconds go. Just pop your answers in the chat. I can see a few coming in. Well done. That's it. See if you can get them all. It's quite time pressured, this one, isn't it? Okay. So let's have a little look at what we've got then. Less negatively charged than the outside. Okay. Moving on down to positive feedback. This is any mechanism that increases a change in the same direction. So it's an amplification that's going on here. Do not confuse this with that key homeostatic mechanism, which is negative feedback. Okay. Positive feedback has
Oh, I think I need to step in. We've got a bit of a signal glitch. So we just finished the positive feedback, and now we're looking at the next one. So this is the resting potential definition, and we saw that in our first little look at multi-choice, didn't we? When the membrane potential is about minus 70 millivolts, all due to those sodium ion, potassium ion pumps, that gives us the resting potential. There's that polarized membrane. Our next one, threshold potential. This is a critical membrane potential. It's about minus 55 millivolts, roughly. It does vary from axon to axon. That the action potential, it needs to get to that place for the action potential to occur. Then we've got the actual action potential itself. What exactly is it? And it is a depolarization. So what happens is the membrane potential reverses very briefly, just for a matter of milliseconds, and it ends up being plus 40 millivolts. So it becomes positive inside and negative outside. So that's what that depolarization is, the action potential. And then lastly, we've got our all or nothing principle. This is vital for truly understanding how the action potential works. You either get one, it's all, or you don't, it's nothing. And the trick to getting the action potential is reaching that threshold potential. So if you're going to get one, you will get it, and it will be the same size, the same amplitude, even if the stimulus is a really big one or even a small one. So well done for those of you who've had a go at those ones. We have got a lovely activity now. We have got a mend the gap, our version. We're going to look at, for a gap fill, we've got the refractory period to work through. Now for these ones, the answer word that's missing is going to come up. We'll do them as we go along. So be brave and put it on the chat if you think that you know the missing word. I'll give it a nice pause to give you time to pop it into your phone and pop it onto the chat. So this is all refractory period stuff. When the axon membrane is depolarized, the voltage-gated sodium ion channels become inactivated. No more sodium ions can diffuse through these channels. This is the absolute refractory period. There can be no new something something. What's that? If you can't move sodium ions through the channel, there can be no new what? What do we think that might be? Okay, that's right. Yes, it's action potential. We can't get a new action potential. So it stops a new one being made, and this is vital for how everything works. When the membrane potential is low enough, the sodium ion channels are no longer inactivated. This is happening through repolarization, isn't it? As the membrane potential drops back to where it was. They are closed, but can now be activated again to initiate a new action potential. The axon membrane is hyperpolarized, so the something would only be reached if there's a large stimulus. This is the relative refractory period. So what's our missing words there? We've got something that has to be reached to get an action potential. What's that? I'm going to hold off to see if it comes in on the chat. Yeah, that's brilliant. Threshold potential. Well done. That's great. Thank you for putting your answers on the chat there. Our first two gaps have been filled. Right, last paragraph. Here we go. The three roles of the refractory period are to ensure the action potentials are something events. Begins with D. So what is that? I can give you a clue. It means that they're separate. So like a fancy word for being separate events. What do you think that word is? Let's see if that comes in on the chat. Bit of a harder one. Okay, I'm going to give you that one. It's discrete events. So they are separate events. So you get one action potential and another action potential. Vital, because that's how our brain interprets the size of the stimulus by the frequency of the action potentials. So we must have them as being separate. Right, next role. To make action potentials propagate in only something direction. What's that one? Easier one. Let's see if we can get that one on the chat. Action potentials can only go in, yes, thank you, well done. It's one direction. We don't want them going backwards. The whole thing wouldn't work. And that refractory period stops them from going backwards, so they can only go forwards. And last one, here we go, last one. And to give a limit to the something of action potentials transmitted down the neuron. What's that last one? A limit to, what's that going to be? Give that one a go. You're doing really well. I can see there's a couple of different people giving us answers. It's great. What about this last one? Any ideas? Yes, well done. That's what was that? Hearts for Jajan. Frequency. Brilliant. It's all about the frequency of action potentials. How many are arriving at the CNS to interpret that size of stimulus? Great work, guys. Back over to Tracy.
Yeah, just checking, Tracy, you back with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hopefully, cross your fingers, everyone. I'll remain in the broadcast this time. So let's have a look. Well, we've got a true-false view here. So our first one, a local current, or sometimes we say local circuit, is set up due to the diffusion of potassium ions along the axon. Have a little think. Does that sound true to you? Or have we put a little sneaky trick in there to fool you? Just have a little thing, pop it in the chat. It should be quite a quick one, this. So it's true or is it false? Okay, there's a few coming in. Let's see if you're right. Let's have a look. So that's false. Yes, it's not potassium ions, is it? Okay, so that was the problem with that. It's the wrong kind of ion. Yeah, can anyone pop it in to see what it is? Yes, it's sodium. Absolutely. So brilliant. Well done if you got that. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. So, true or false? Longer local currents or circuits develop in an unmyelinated neuron. Have a little think. The longer circuits in an unmyelinated. Which way round is it? See if you can get that. There's a few coming in. So let's have a little look at this one then. Yes, so hopefully you spotted the issue there. That is indeed false. So we get longer local currents or circuits, but not in an unmyelinated. That's in our myelinated neuron, isn't it? Okay, so well done for spotting that. Next question then, let's have a look. What have we got now? Speed of transmission is slower in an unmyelinated neuron compared to myelinated. So we're on the same sort of thinking as the last one here, aren't we? So hopefully a lot of you are going to spot this one straight away. I can see a few of you putting it on there already. So let's get cut to the chase and get straight to the answer. Yes, that's absolutely true, isn't it? Okay, so we definitely do slow down when there is no myelin sheath. So in an unmyelinated neuron here. Well done. Okay, let's have a look at number 4. So local currents or circuits cause a slight depolarization of the membrane, which opens more sodium ion channels. Is that what is actually happening here? Have a little think. Does that sound right to you? It's quite a lot of information in that little one to take in, isn't there? Just give it a little moment. Got a few sort of competing ideas coming in for this one. Okay, let's see what we get. Let's have a look at the answer. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that statement, actually. That is exactly what is happening at the local currents. They're causing this slight polarization in the adjacent part of the membrane, and that opens more sodium ion channels. So well done if you got that. And I think we have another one coming up. Here we go. I think this is the last one. So the diffusion of sodium ions along the axon is quicker than the ion movement would be across the membrane. Have a little think. Which one is going to be quicker? Which makes sense to you? It's a different way of looking at it. What's going on with the local circuits, isn't it? So we've got a few coming in. So let's get to the answer then and see if you got this last one. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that one either. That's exactly what is going on, which is why transmission of an impulse is quicker in our myelinated neuron. Okay, well done, guys.
Okay, our finale is all about the myelinated neurons, and we have one of my favourites, the bubble quiz. So if you don't know these ones, it's a bit tricky in the sense that it could be none of the answers are right. It could be 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of them are right. So you have to read every single one and have a good old think. So let's do the first one. Which of these explains how the CNS interprets a large stimulus? Came up in a bit of conversation earlier. Did you remember what I said? So I'd like to see on the chat A's and B's and C's and D's. You could have none of them, or you could tell me that it's any of these combinations. What do you think is plausible here? So this is interpreting a large stimulus. Think about like a big punch on the nose versus like a little insect landing on the nose. How does our CNS know the difference? Is there a higher frequency of action potentials arriving at the CNS? A faster action potential arriving at the CNS? A larger action potential arriving at the CNS? More sensory neurons have action potentials arriving at the CNS. Let's see some of those answers. A, B, C, D, any combination thereof? None of them? What do you think? Come on, let's have an answer. I'm interested in what you think for those ones. A couple in there. I'm telling you already. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we've got some votes. Well done. So we've got A's and C's and A's. Okay, I'm liking the A's. Let's see the answer. So it is a higher frequency of action potentials. That's that frequency code we're talking about. A large frequency arriving will indicate a big stimulus. If it's a very sort of low frequency arriving, that's a small stimulus. But of course, C is a bit of a ruse. There's no such thing as a larger action potential. Do you remember that all or nothing law? It's all and fixed size. So you get one and it's one size. There's no such thing as a bigger one. So be careful on that one. It's D is the other correct one. If you have lots and lots of sensory neurons, each having action potentials arriving at the CNS in them, that's going to be that's a punch in the nose. That's a big stimulus. Okay, let's do another one. Right, next one, number 2. Which of these explains how an action potential propagates down a myelinated axon? So we've got long local currents are set up. We've talked about those. I wonder if that one's right. We've got an action potential jumps from node to node. They are the nodes of Ranvier. Is that true? We've got sodium ions diffuse along the axon to the next node. And we've got saltatory conduction. What's the correct answer there? Or answers? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to wait a minute while you have a think. Even if you don't know all of them, or if you think there's more than one, just have a crack at some of them. Okay, I can see some answers are coming in now. B is definitely featuring. I wonder if there's any others. Okay, let's see if B is right for a start. It is B. Yes, it's more than that. So we've got the action potential jumping from node to node. That's B. And of course, that is called saltatory conduction, which is D. And for all the Latin experts out there, saltatory comes from the Latin for jump. So that's why it has that name. Why do we have this? Because the local currents that are set up are long, and therefore you miss out big stretches of axon, so it's much quicker. But it's not due to sodium ions diffusing all the way down. It's the local current. That's almost instantaneous to depolarize the next section. That's why it's super fast. Okay, let's do the next one. Why does saltatory conduction give a faster propagation speed? So I think we've been talking about this. See if you can pick up on the good ones here. So we've got the impulse covers the same distance of axon in less time. We've got there are fewer action potentials set up along the length of the axon. We've got local currents cause a continuous conduction of action potentials, or we've got the impulse travels down the whole length of the axon. Tricky. It's all feeling quite similar, but they are subtly different. What do you reckon? Have any of those sound plausible? Could you put those on the chat if you think so? I'm going to wait a little second, see what comes in. Okay, someone thinks C. That's hearts for Jayan. Let's have a C. Is C correct? So it wasn't C. We've got A's and B's and C's. We've got lots of things coming in. So now we can see the correct ones. It was actually A's and B's. Let's see why. The impulse covers the same distance, but in less time. Because it's jumping, it covers the whole length, but super fast because it's just jumped over whole sections. So that's definitely true. A. Because we only have action potentials only at the nodes of Ronvier, there will be fewer action potentials set up along that length. So it's much quicker because you don't have to waste all that time setting up an action potential after an action potential after an action potential for the whole length. The local currents would cause a continuous conduction if it was unmyelinated, but it's not continuous because it's separated by the jumping. So it's not C. And that last one, the impulse travels down the whole length. It doesn't travel down the whole length. It only is appearing, those action potentials are only appearing at those nodes of Ronvier. So a couple of difficult subtleties there. Okay, nearly there. Let's do number 4. Which of these factors increases the speed of propagation of an action potential? So hopefully a bit of a nicer, kinder one. Are any of those thinking, yeah, it's going to speed it up? Some of those you think, oh yeah, that's definitely going to speed up. Now, we're not speeding up the action potential, we're speeding up the propagation of the action potential, so how fast it's moving. What do you reckon? Any of those correct? Let's wait and see if some come in on the chat. Oh, we're going to be brave to make some votes there. What do you think? Okie dokie. Anything new coming in? Could it be a larger axon diameter? Higher temperature? Smaller axon diameter? You've got 50-50 there. One of those is going to be right. Marlin sheath. What do you think? I'm sure you can be brave and put something in. Okay, let's see what it is. Of course, it is the larger axon diameter, like those large squid axons, the giant axons. Temperature always speeds everything up. We don't want to go above optimum. We don't want to be denaturing proteins, but up until that point, it will make a difference. Faster diffusion. And of course, we've seen the myelin sheath is what allows us to have the nodes of Ronvier for the jumping. So definitely myelin sheath. Okie dokie, last one, finale. I really want people to vote on this last one. Let's do it. Let's finish strong. Explain the role of the myelin sheath in saltatory conduction. So I think we've been talking about it. Let's see if you can pick out something that sounds true there. So, the myelin sheath, does it prevent the movement of movement of ions? The myelin sheath. The gaps are the only place an action potential can occur. For the myelin sheath, does it protect the axons from damage? And for the myelin sheath, is it an electrical insulator? Does anything sound plausible there? I'm sure something might. Which one is it? Let's hear. Let's have it on the chat. Come on, final vote. Let's have something. I'll give you a sec to get your fingers pressing on those mobile phones. Let's get the answers. And you know what? Let's see what the answers are, because you're right. They're all right. Of course they are. It is an insulator, and that means it's going to prevent those ions from moving. So that's A and D sorted. We've seen that where there's myelin sheath, there's no action potential. It's only at the nodes. So the gaps being the nodes, that's where we see the action potential. And actually, it does protect the axon from damage. So having a myelin sheath is good for us, and it is definitely good for our axons and nervous impulses. And that brings us, I think, to a close.
Great last question. Always good to finish on a really positive note where every answer is correct. I like that one. I do like that one. Wonderful stuff. Listen, thank you to everybody who took part tonight, everybody who put their responses into the chat window. That's always welcome. And of course, a very, very big thank you to both Ellena and Tracy for delivering those questions. We're back again next Wednesday, same time, 5:30. Nervous coordination. Have I got that right, Ellena?
That's right. It's synapses. Yep.
Right, brilliant. Okay, so we'll be back next week. So quick reminder, the PowerPoint that we've been using tonight will be available for you to download within a couple of minutes after I've finished. And this has all been recorded, so you can always watch it all over again. Brilliant stuff. Thank you for taking part. Look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. Bye, everybody.
Bye.